Hey guys, tonight dim the lights a little. Lower the volume just enough that you don't have to listen too hard. Put your phone down on the nightstand, face down, like a responsible adult who is absolutely going to fall asleep in 20 minutes. Welcome back. Tonight we're drifting into something calm, slow, and mildly unsettling in the least energetic way possible. No jump scares, no screaming, just history, whispers, and the gentle realization that powerful people have always been deeply weird, even after death. Tonight's topic is ghosts, but not the fun sheet with eye holes kind. These are the royal ghosts, the bored ghosts, the emotionally unresolved ghosts who haunt palaces because, honestly, they don't know where else to go. Because if you spent your entire life trapped in a stone building, marrying cousins, and being told you were chosen by God, you probably wouldn't leave quietly either. So let's ease into this. No chapters, no urgency, just a slow walk through creaky corridors, candle smoke, and dynastic regret. And we'll begin, as so many haunted stories do, in England, because of course we will. England has more ghosts than functional family trees. One of the most famous royal ghosts is Anne Boleyn, second wife of Henry VIII, and already you can feel the collective sigh. Henry VIII again. Yes, that Henry VIII, the man who treated marriage like a subscription service. Anne Boleyn's life was short, dramatic, and exhausting. She was clever, she was ambitious, she was fashionable, and she made the catastrophic mistake of marrying a man who got bored very easily and owned an axe. Anne didn't give Henry a son. She gave him a daughter, Elizabeth, who would later become one of England's greatest monarchs. But at the time, Henry reacted the way insecure men always have, by panicking. Anne was accused of adultery, incest, witchcraft, basically anything that sounded spooky enough to justify a public execution. And then she was beheaded. Clean cut, quick job, very efficient. And that should have been the end of it. But Anne apparently had other plans. For centuries, people have claimed to see her ghost wandering the Tower of London, sometimes carrying her own head, because subtlety is overrated. She's seen drifting through corridors, standing near the chapel, floating calmly, like she's just checking in, not screaming, not rattling chains, just existing, which honestly feels worse. Imagine being a guard on night duty. You're already tired, your feet hurt, and then you see a transparent Tudor woman holding her head like a handbag. No thank you. Anne's ghost isn't angry. She doesn't chase people. She doesn't howl. She just walks. And maybe that's the most unsettling part, because she waited her entire life to be taken seriously, and now she has all the time in the world. Let's gently drift across Europe now, because England doesn't get to hoard all the haunted royalty. In Austria, we meet Empress Elizabeth, better known as Sisi. She was beautiful, uncomfortably beautiful, the kind of beautiful that becomes your entire personality because everyone else insists on it. Sisi married Emperor Franz Joseph, and like most royal marriages, it looked romantic on paper and was emotionally hollow in practice. She hated court life, hated etiquette, hated being watched, which was unfortunate because being empress meant you were always being watched. Sisi became obsessed with her appearance, extreme diets, hours of hair care, constant movement. She walked and walked and walked, long distances every day. Not for exercise, for escape. She lost children, she lost her sense of purpose, and eventually she lost her life to an assassin, just stabbed out of nowhere. Very anticlimactic for someone so mythologized. After her death, reports began to surface of a woman in white walking the corridors of Schönbrunn Palace, silent, graceful, always moving. Staff would see her late at night, never speaking, never stopping, just walking,
Which honestly tracks, because even in death, Cece couldn't sit still. She spent her life running from expectations, so of course her ghost just keeps going. No drama, no message, just footsteps fading down marble halls. Now let's float back to England again, because there's more. There's always more. Hampton Court Palace is basically a ghost timeshare. Everyone gets a turn. One of the most famous spirits there is Catherine Howard, another wife of Henry VIII. Yes, another one. Catherine was young, very young, married to a king who was old, overweight, and deeply suspicious. She had a past. Henry didn't like that. She was accused of adultery, executed, quickly replaced. Standard procedure. But her ghost, however, not subtle at all. Witnesses have reported seeing a young woman running down the haunted gallery, screaming, hands out.
Welcome back. If you nodded off for a second, that's perfect. If not, don't worry. History will gently bore you into submission eventually. Same setting, same slow footsteps, same ghosts who really should have moved on centuries ago. In part 1, we met queens without heads, empresses who couldn't stop walking, and palaces that politely pretended nothing strange was happening. Now we drift deeper, because some buildings don't just remember people, they hold them. Let's float into France, specifically Versailles. Versailles is one of those places that looks like it smells expensive. Gold everywhere, mirrors everywhere, absolutely zero emotional stability anywhere. This was the home of Louis XIV, the Sun King, a man who woke up every morning and thought, yes, I am the universe. Louis loved routine. He woke up publicly. He ate publicly. He went to bed publicly. Nothing says power like turning basic hygiene into performance art. But Versailles didn't stop being strange after Louis died. If anything, it got worse. Visitors and staff have reported seeing figures in old-fashioned clothing drifting through gardens and halls, not interacting, not acknowledging the modern world, just continuing court life. There's a famous incident from 1901. 2 women claimed they wandered into a part of the gardens that felt wrong. The air changed, the light shifted. They saw people dressed in 18th century clothing, a woman sketching, men with powdered wigs, and then suddenly, nothing, gone. They later identified the woman sketching as Marie Antoinette, which is unsettling but also very on brand. Marie Antoinette spent her life being watched, judged, blamed, so of course her ghost ignores everyone. She's finally doing something quietly. Let's slow the pace again. Not every ghost is famous. Some are just leftover staff. Servants who worked their entire lives polishing floors and carrying trays. People who died without titles, portraits, or recorded last words. In many European palaces, staff report hearing soft footsteps at night. Keys jangling, furniture shifting slightly. Nothing dramatic, just the sound of people still working. Which is maybe the saddest haunting of all. Imagine serving royalty so long that even death doesn't release you. Now let's drift into Spain, because Spain had a very specific problem. That problem was marrying relatives over and over and over again. The Habsburgs, a family so inbred that their faces slowly collapsed inward over generations, chins extending forward like architectural mistakes. Charles II of Spain was the final product. He could barely walk, barely speak, barely exist. He was called El Hechizado, the Bewitched, because no one wanted to admit the obvious. After his death, reports came from the royal palace in Madrid. A frail figure seen near mirrors, lingering, staring, never speaking. Which makes sense because Charles spent his entire life being examined like a medical curiosity. So maybe his ghost just keeps checking, trying to figure out what went wrong. Now let's drift north. Colder air,
Stone walls, Scotland. Scotland does not do cheerful ghosts. Edinburgh Castle sits on volcanic rock, which already feels aggressive. It's one of the most haunted places in Europe. Drummers without heads, prisoners who never left, children heard crying underground. One of the most reported spirits is a lone piper, sent into tunnels beneath the castle centuries ago. He played as he walked so people could track his progress, and then the music stopped. His body was never found. Now people hear faint pipe music echoing beneath the castle, soft, distant, never getting closer, never leaving, which is oddly calming in a bleak medieval way. Let's return to royalty, because we're not done with them. Back to England again. Queen Victoria. She ruled for decades. She outlived almost everyone she loved. When her husband Albert died, she wore black for the rest of her life. She preserved his rooms exactly as they were, laid out his clothes every day, which is romantic and deeply concerning. After her death, staff at Osborne House reported seeing a small elderly woman dressed in black, moving slowly, peering into rooms as if checking whether Albert had returned yet. Victoria didn't haunt out of anger, she haunted out of waiting. Now let's gently cross into Central Europe again. In Prague, there's the ghost of Emperor Rudolph II, a man obsessed with alchemy, astrology, and immortality. He collected oddities, paintings, people. He locked himself away, convinced he could unlock the secrets of the universe. After his death, people reported a shadowy figure near his old chambers, surrounded by whispers, not haunting, researching. Even death couldn't convince Rudolph to stop looking for answers. And here's the thing about royalty.